News when you want it with Bloomberg News Now. I'm Ed Kalegi. 2 U.S. Army soldiers and a civilian U.S. interpreter were killed in an attack in Syria Saturday that also wounded 3 others. U.S. Central Command said this in a statement posted on social media. The statement said the people were ambushed by a lone gunman who they said was an Islamic State militant and was killed. The attack occurred while the soldiers were conducting counterterrorism operations in the region. President Trump says there will be serious retaliation. Trump wrote in a social media post this was an ISIS attack against the U.S. and Syria in a very dangerous part of Syria that is not fully controlled by them. There will be some very serious retaliation. President Trump is threatening to expand strikes against Venezuela. Bloomberg's Monica Ricks has details.
President Trump says land strikes are next in his campaign to stop the flow of drugs into the U.S. from Venezuela. The president says he's directed Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth to notify Congress of the administration's upcoming plans, but didn't discuss targets, which Trump says could expand.
But it's not only land strikes on Venezuela, it's land strikes on horrible people that are bringing in drugs and killing our people.
The U.S. imposed new sanctions and seized a Venezuelan oil tanker this week. Striking targets on land would be a major escalation in tensions. Monica Ricks, Bloomberg Radio.
President Trump says that Kevin Hassett and Kevin Warsh are his top choices to lead the U.S. Federal Reserve and that he expects the next chair of the central bank to consult with him on interest rates. Trump, in an interview with the Wall Street Journal on Friday, indicated that Warsh, a former Fed governor, has climbed up the short list of contenders to challenge Hassett, the White House National Economic Council head whom many had seen as the frontrunner for the job. House Republicans plan to vote next week on a slew of health policy proposals to address rising health costs, but an extension of expiring Obamacare subsidies is conspicuously absent. The package includes changes to require more transparency from pharmacy benefit managers, codify association health plans, policy supporting self-insured health care models, and fund cost-sharing reductions. This according to House Republican leadership aides. The legislation is due to be considered by the House Rules Committee at 2 p.m. on Tuesday. Congress has made a move to back federal workers' union rights. Bloomberg's Nathan Hager reports from Washington.
The House voted this week to overturn an executive order that President Trump signed in March, curbing union rights at some federal agencies. 20 Republicans joined with every Democrat present on the bill after Maine Democrat Jared Golden forced the legislation to a vote through a discharge petition. 5 Republicans from swing states signed on to that effort. This bill faces tougher odds in the Senate. Companion legislation there has just one Republican co-sponsor. In Washington, I'm Nathan Hager, Bloomberg Radio.
A busy week ahead with a delayed November jobs report and a flurry of major central bank meetings. Bloomberg's Karen Moscow has more.
The first major snapshot of employment since the government shutdown comes Tuesday with the release of November non-farm payrolls. The data will also incorporate elements from October. Retail sales for October and S&P Global Manufacturing PMI for December are also due out. Thursday is the Consumer Price Index and the weekly report on initial jobless claims. Both the European Central Bank and Bank of England are out with rate decisions. And Friday we hear from the Bank of Japan and get existing home sales and consumer sentiment from the University of Michigan. Karen Moscow, Bloomberg Radio.
Pot stocks surged Friday on a Trump plan to ease cannabis restrictions. More on this from Bloomberg's Charlie Pellet.
The Amplify Alternative Harvest ETF was up 42%. Tilray was up 44%. Canopy Growth surged 54%. All of this with President Trump, according to sources, expected to direct his administration to move to reclassify marijuana as a less dangerous drug. Reclassification would make it easier to buy and sell cannabis and could deliver a major victory for companies and investors in the sector, as well as patients who use medical marijuana. In New York, Charlie Pellet, Bloomberg Radio.
A wave of new books argue that capitalism isn't doomed, just misaligned. Fixing it means rebalancing the relationships between markets, states, and workers. The 5 forces that broke capitalism in one possible fix. You can read all about it in Bloomberg's Weekend Edition, exploring the places where finance, life, and culture meet. Find it on Bloomberg.com and the Bloomberg Business app. That's news when you want it with Bloomberg News Now. I'm Ed Kalegi. This is Bloomberg.